try to get to the root of this welfare fraud. California, more than almost any other state, has been so glaring and obvious about the fact that they're giving welfare benefits to illegal aliens. Like, that's not, you go to the California Medicaid website and they will advertise that they are.
Now, how does that work? How does an illegal alien get benefits? Like, don't they have to, like, show their social security number and have, like, an address? And don't they have some type of, like, things in processing
spending American tax dollars
like,
to give Medicaid to illegal aliens? You think there's not fraud there? They're getting rich off of the generosity of the American taxpayer.
I think it would be
the political corruption that enables it has got to stop, and that's what we're focused on.
All right, here we go. The White House expanding its crackdown on fraud. As President Trump says, California is more corrupt than Minnesota.
Governor
so far,
Newsom.
2 people have been charged with corruption related to California. More corrupt than
Sweet. California, under Governor Gavin Newsom, is more corrupt than ever. Minnesota, if that's possible, the fraud investigation of California has begun. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So,
Minnesota. So far, 2 people have been charged with corruption related to California's homeless services. And our next guest says more arrests are on the way.
Oh, wow. Wait. You're telling me they want people purposely on drugs and purposely homeless so they can purposely steal the funding? Wow.
First Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, Bill Asaley, joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. I know that you've already been investigating. As Griff was just saying, 2 people have already been charged and indicted, arrested. There are these 2 real estate executives for the homeless spending fraud. What exactly do you know? What's
At least there's
what's
arrests
coming up
being
in
made.
California?
Hell yeah.
What will the Trump administration expose?
Well, listen, I'm uniquely situated. I served in the legislature there in California before the president appointed me to be the U.S. attorney down in Los Angeles. The first thing I did was create the Homeless Fraud and Corruption Task Force. California has spent $24 billion in the last 5 years on homelessness. And
how is there homelessness if $24 billion is being sent out? You could literally divvy up that money and just give it to the people and they wouldn't be homeless. So what are we talking about?
No one can account for where that money has really gone for. So the first thing I did was set up that task force, and all we did is follow the money. We already charged millions of dollars in fraud. I can tell you more charges are coming probably as soon as this month. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Nobody has looked at the fraud in California because every level of government has been owned by the Democrats here in the state of California.
Bill, so you said tip of the iceberg. We heard that in Minnesota. We know that there's an alleged $9 billion in fraud. It may go higher. But I want to ask you about this New York Post.
What I want to know is why are only the Democrats being busted for fraud as if Republican, governors aren't committing fraud? Let's not allow for the media and for these Republicans to just push the narrative that this is only a Democrat issue, that fraud is taking place. This is a issue that both parties deal with, that the American people are going to have to pay for. And if they are convincing you as a Republican that your Republican candidates aren't committing just as much fraud, then you are severely misinformed. And this is coming from, again, a Republican.
Post headline where it says California risks $250 billion fraud.
I want to see
GOP
all of them
investigated
after
collecting whistleblower tips. What do you make of how big this may go?
Look, California's annual budget is $300 billion. Nobody does any accountability in the state of California. When is the last time you saw an oversight hearing or you saw the attorney general indicting people
Everything
for fraud?
about California
it does not happen in California. So we really don't know. So that's why the first thing I did, I said, we got to start looking at this. We put the FBI, the IRS, various OIGs. We're now taking a look at it. But what I have to tell the people is it takes time to do this properly, to get the evidence so we can charge the appropriate people, no matter who they are or how high up they are. We're going to go after it.
So Gavin Newsom's response to the president's quest to go after fraud says Gavin Newsom has been cleaning house since taking office. He's blocked over $125 billion in fraud, arrested criminal parasites leeching off taxpayers, and protected taxpayers from the exact kind of scam artist Trump celebrates, excuses and pardons.
Yeah, I mean, that all sounds fine and dandy if it's true, but Gavin Newsom has been cleaning house since taking office. He's blocked over $125 billion in fraud, arrested criminal parasites leeching off of taxpayers, and protected taxpayers from the exact kind of scam artist Trump celebrates, excuses and pardons. Yeah, it just sounds like
it's really
political
appropriate he has a
rhetoric
crown on
garbage.
his head because he's the king of fraud. Look at the track record of the state of California. $20 billion in fraud
this dude,
just in the EDD program during COVID. And who
So
ran
what really comes off slimy to me about this dude is I remember G when he was visiting California. Apparently he was able to make the city look absolutely beautiful. He cleaned up the streets, and that was just for a weekend visit or something of Xi Jinping. Why is he not able to do that year round for California? It almost seems like he just wants to be a shithole, which I don't understand why he would want, because it's a bad representation onto himself because he's the leader of said shithole.
that program? Julie Su. What do? They promoted her to be the labor
It's like
secretary.
they want people to be
she couldn't
homeless
get
so
through
they
the
can,
Senate. Look at the fraud in healthcare. Look at the
on
fraud
a
in
fraud or
homelessness.
something.
High-speed rail. They told the California people that they would spend a few $1 billion to build this rail.
Yeah.
We're talking over $100 billion now. No, there's no rail. There's no rail in California. Who
Yeah.
took the money? He's the king of fraud.
And that shit happens with that shit happens with Republicans as well as Democrats. This just goes back to the construction industry. This is fraud. This is exactly how it happens. They say something's going to happen with set amount of money. They collect the money, and thing never happens. This isn't anything new. This happens all of the time. Even companies do this when they list their company on the stock market. They'll collect a bunch of money. Stock buybacks and everything like that, or shelf offerings, they'll take that money and instead of actually building out the company, they'll just be pocketing it. It's just a form of embezzlement, and I think we're going to
Never been this much fraud in the history of the American history.
Well, that's what, there's Ro Khanna said the same thing. And I think it's going to be interesting because he thinks he's going to be
interesting.
And he wants a bipartisan look at what's going on in California. As you know, he's a Democratic congressman from up in the Silicon Valley.
Well, they should be careful what they ask for because it's coming. The accountability is coming, and we're going to hold everyone accountable.
The accountability is not coming because, again, you have to have all of the leaders on the same page, and all of the leaders are doing fraud. Therefore, they're not going to start arresting each other. It's just not going to happen. Their pockets are getting fatter. The peasants are getting poorer. This isn't ever going to change unless you have some real leadership step up. Unfortunately, that's the truth. How do you have that? You'd have to have Jesus Christ as president. And I don't think we're going to have that anytime soon. I think we're just going to keep getting greedy humans that step up and just decide to allow this fraud to run
Bill,
rampant.
so does the state of California have a programs auditor or manager to do oversight to stop fraud?
They have an attorney general. There is a state
Everybody
auditor,
can be paid
but
off.
everyone is part of the Democrat
Everybody can
Party.
be
So
paid
when I was
off.
up in the legislature and we tried to have meaningful accountability, there's no appetite, there's no interest. Because if they actually did the accountability, it would be an indictment on their programs and their leadership. And they don't want to do that. So they want the appearance of looking like they care about fraud.
Yes.
But they care more about pushing money out the door to appease their political constituency, to legally buy votes, than they do about cracking down on fraud. California's emptied its prisons. They have half as many prisoners as they did 10 years ago. They're not interested in fighting crime.
Right.
They're interested in supporting criminals.
And by the way, yesterday, Sean Duffy said we're going to hold back $160 million because you have delay revoking 17,000 commercial driver's license to immigrants, many of which don't speak English.
They love nothing more than illegal immigrants and criminals in the state of California. Just go look at the legislature's policies.
Look at what's happening in Minnesota. People work so hard for their paychecks. And then these leaders that they've elected go in and they are being used to steal that money and give it to people so they can buy expensive cars and take expensive vacations in big houses. So thank you for exposing all of this. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Minnesota's being thrown under the bus here, right? And I bet every politician everywhere is saying, ha, 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 ha. Minnesota's being thrown under the bus, and we don't have to get ran over. Meanwhile, you have so many people just standing on the sidewalk celebrating as, Tim gets ran over. But the reality is, this isn't just happening in Minnesota. This isn't just happening in Democratic-ran states. This is a issue of politicians in politics being greedy fucks